A scream cut through the peaceful hum of the park, sharp and desperate. James Miller froze mid-step, his instincts kicking in before his mind could catch up. His 6-year-old twins, Emma and Lily, were just a few feet ahead, giggling over a game of tag near the swings. But the sound didn't come from them. It came from near the old oak tree where a tall boy in his teens had cornered a girl about the twins' age. James's heart tightened. He had heard that tone before, the helpless cry of someone who knew nobody was coming. He'd heard it overseas, in places far darker than this sunny park. His feet moved before he thought, the crunch of gravel under his boots loud in his ears. The twins paused their game, their small faces going pale as they saw their father's expression. The boy was shoving the girl against the tree, barking something James couldn't fully hear until he got closer. "Give me the bag, freak. I said give it." The girl clutched a small pink backpack, her knuckles white, tears streaking her cheeks. She couldn't have been more than 9. "Hey!" James's voice was low but carried like a crack of thunder. The boy spun around, startled, but didn't move away. "This is none of your..." James didn't let him finish. In 3 long strides, he was between the boy and the girl, his frame blocking her entirely. His presence was commanding, broad shoulders, weathered face, and the kind of steady gaze that made people either back down or wish they had. "You're done," James said quietly, but the quiet was the dangerous kind. The boy's bravado faltered. "I wasn't." "You were," James cut in. "Now walk away before you make the biggest mistake of your life." The boy's eyes darted around, looking for a way to save face. When he found none, he muttered something under his breath and stalked off, kicking the dirt as he went. The girl's breathing was ragged. James knelt, keeping his voice soft. "You okay?" She nodded quickly, though her eyes were glassy. Thank you." James smiled gently. "You don't have to thank me for doing what's right." Emma and Lily hurried over, each clutching one of his arms. "Daddy, is she hurt?" "No, girls. She's fine now." He glanced at the stranger. "What's your name?" "Ava," she whispered. "All right, Ava," James said, "where's your mom or dad?" Her eyes dropped to the ground. I came by myself. I live nearby. My dad's busy." James didn't press. Something about the way she said it told him there was more to the story. He offered to walk her home, the twins chattering beside her as they went. Ava's small smile returned, if only for a moment. When they reached her street, James froze. A massive wrought iron gate stood before a sprawling estate that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Ava walked right up to the intercom, pressed a button, and a voice crackled back instantly. "Miss Ava? Your father's been looking for you." The gate swung open. James and the twins exchanged a look. This wasn't just any neighborhood. Inside, they were met by a man in an immaculate suit, the kind that probably cost more than James's truck. But the man's face was pale, his eyes frantic. "Ava!" He dropped to his knees, hugging her so tightly she squeaked. "I was terrified, don't ever disappear like that again." James stood a respectful distance away, unsure if he should excuse himself. The man looked up, his gaze locking on James. "Were you the one who brought her home?" "Yes, sir," James said simply. "She was in trouble at the park. A boy was trying to hurt her." The man's expression darkened instantly, but when he looked at James again, gratitude softened his features. "I owe you more than I can say." He stood, extending a hand. "Daniel Hayes. I run Hayes International." James shook it politely. The name meant nothing to him, but the way Daniel said it, he assumed it was supposed to. "Please," Daniel continued, "come inside. Let me thank you properly." James started to decline, but Emma tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, maybe we can just for a little." "Ava's nice." Inside, the house was a world apart from their modest 2-bedroom apartment, crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and artwork that probably had names James couldn't pronounce. But what struck him was Ava's room, bright, colorful, and filled with toys, yet the air felt lonely. As they talked over coffee, James learned that Daniel was a single father too. His wife had passed away years ago, and his work often kept him away. Ava's trip to the park had been her attempt to feel normal, to be around kids her own age without a security guard hovering. "I can't be everywhere for her," Daniel admitted, his voice heavy. "I try to give her the best of everything, but," he trailed off. James understood all too well. Money could buy comfort, but not presence. He thought of the nights he stayed up sewing patches on the twins' clothes, of missing a shift to be at their school play. When it was time to leave, Daniel pressed a business card into James's hand. "If you ever need anything, call me. And maybe we can arrange for the kids to spend more time together." Ava hasn't smiled this much in a long time. James smiled. "We'll see." As they walked back to their old truck, Emma asked, "Daddy, why'd you help her?" He looked down at her, the setting sun casting gold in her hair. "Because someone has to. Because one day, it could be you, and I'd want the world to have more people who don't look away." Back home, after the twins were asleep, James placed Daniel's card on the table. He didn't know if he'd ever call. But he knew this: kindness wasn't about who someone was, or what they had. It was about what you did when the moment came. If you believe the world needs more people willing to stand up for what's right, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story. Because sometimes, the smallest act of courage can change someone's life forever. The air in the park was still heavy from the earlier confrontation. James's mind replayed the moment over and over, the look in Ava's eyes, the way her shoulders had been shaking. He could still feel the heat of his own anger, that old familiar surge from the battlefield when you saw someone powerless about to be hurt. The twins walked beside him, chattering in that innocent way children do after something scary. "Daddy," Lily said softly, "why was that boy so mean to her?" James slowed his steps, choosing his words carefully. "Some people hurt others because they're hurting inside. But that doesn't make it okay. Ever." When they reached the towering gates again, Ava glanced up at him with a hesitant look. "I don't usually go out alone. Daddy says it's not safe. But I was bored. I wanted to play with other kids." James studied her for a second. Her voice carried the same loneliness he'd heard in soldiers stuck in remote outposts, longing for the normal world. "Ava," he said gently, "it's not wrong to want that. But you have to stay safe. People care about you." Inside the estate, Daniel Hayes's relief had already turned into a quiet guilt. He sat across from James in a vast living room where the fireplace alone could swallow his entire apartment. "You saved her," Daniel said finally, breaking the silence. "And the truth is, I've been failing her. I thought giving her everything money could buy would make up for the time I can't give. But you," he shook his head, "you didn't even know her, and you stepped in without hesitation." James leaned back, feeling slightly out of place on the white leather sofa. "That's what you do when you see someone in trouble. Doesn't matter who they are." Emma and Lily were in the corner, showing Ava how to braid friendship bracelets from colored string. Ava's laughter was different now, looser, warmer, the sound of a child finally feeling safe. Daniel's gaze softened as he watched. "They're good kids. They're my world," James said simply. "Everything I do, it's for them." There was a pause, then Daniel asked, "You were in the military, weren't you?" James nodded slowly. "Marine Corps. Did my time, came home, started figuring out how to be a dad full-time." Daniel exhaled. "You know, most people in my world wouldn't have bothered today. They would have looked away, or told someone else to handle it. But you," he leaned forward. "You didn't just protect my daughter. You reminded me what's worth protecting." James didn't quite know how to respond to that, so he said nothing. As the evening wore on, Daniel's offer became more specific. "Listen. I'd like to do something for you. Not as payment, because I know you're not that kind of man, but as appreciation. If there's ever anything you need, a job, help with the kids, anything, call me." James hesitated, then took the card. "I appreciate it." When they left, Ava hugged him tightly, whispering, "Thank you for making the scary stop." That night, James lay in bed, staring at the ceiling long after the twins were asleep. He thought about how fast a normal day could turn into something unforgettable.